Very good morning to one
Very
and
good
all.
morning to all and all.
We are happy to welcome you all in today's workshop. The Department of Electrical Engineering, Sagar Institute of Science, Technology and Engineering, Ratibad Bhopal, is very happy to conduct, witness and learn today under the light of IIC, that is Institutional Innovation Cell, a workshop on business model canvas by expert of the session. Let me tell you, this workshop is aiming to target a healthy interactive discussion over a strategic management template that is under for development plan for new business models and documenting existing ones. There is a well-known quotation regarding technology and society is that a technology without a social reach or upliftment is just a hypothesis. This reachability is of course done by various business models. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to have with us to share our online diaspora Dr. Manish Billore sir, Principal Sagar Institute of Science, Technology and Engineering, Ratibad Campus, Bhopal, Professor Dr. Geeta Hegde, expert of the day, Professor Ashish Singhal, President IIC SISTec-E, and Dr. Ayush Srivastava, Area Coordinator IIC SISTec-E. We are pleased to welcome expert of the day, Professor Dr. Geeta Hegde. Professor Dr. Geeta Hegde is Dean, School of Business and Head, UCIE UPS Council of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. UPES, she has more than 30 years of academic, consulting, and industry experience. As Dean, she has been instrumental in taking the school to the next level. She is part of the task force of startup initiatives of Government of Uttarakhand. She has been instrumental in turning around various educational institutions in leadership roles in the past 30 years. Prior to this, she held leadership positions in leading business schools such as Wellingsker Institute of Management and PSG Institute of Management, PSG College of Technology. She was director at IFIM Business School where she led the team to AACSB accreditation. She is a corporate consultant on marketing and sales enhancement. She is the immediate past chairperson, Confederation of Indian Industries, Indian Women Network, Karnataka, country director, that is, of course, from India, Euromed Business Research Institute, member editorial board of International Journal in Emerging Markets, Emerald, core member of the Center of Emerging Markets, IIM Lucknow, faculty resource for MDP at IIM Kozhikode, member ELCITA Federation of Karnataka Chair, Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Geeta has conducted several consultancy and training programs for corporates and senior marketing and sales executives for ITC, Infosys, Murugappa Group, Pericol, SDFC, EY, Biocon, and several leading companies. She has been engaging in consultancy and research with companies such as Logitech, USA, iWatt, USA, Reliance, and many others. Dr. Geeta was part of the team at Global Colloquium on Participants Conducted Learning at Harvard Business School, Boston, and worked on teaching with case studies and developing curriculum for management courses. Has participated at the follow-on sessions at HBS Shanghai. She was invited by Pace University in New York and many leading business schools for lectures and discussions on pursuing collaborative research. With this all, we all are happy to welcome you, madam. Now, I would like to request Principal Sir, respected Dr. Manish Billore Sir, to kindly present a welcome note to Dr. Geeta Hegde, madam. Over to you, Principal Sir.
Over to you, Principal, sir.
The
special guest for today, Geeta ma'am, Honorable HOD of Electrical Engineering, Professor Ashish, and Dr. Ayush, the coordinator of this program, and Professor Pankaj, the coordinator of our IIC Institution Innovation Council at SISTec Ratibad. I was amazed to listen to the profile, rather the detailed profile of Geeta ma'am. And let me first of all put my apology for not being able to switch on my camera, which is supposed to be not proper. But it's real pleasure for me to be on board in this event, which is on business model canvas. Really, it is a pleasure and a rare opportunity for our students to listen to such a experienced, such a learned expert who has not only a national but international experience, exposure, and a lot of learning. So I'm sure all of the students who will be listening to the today's session, everybody will be benefited, enriched, and a lot of take home will be there for today's session. So with this, once again, a warm welcome to Geeta ma'am in this session of IIC at SISTec Ratibad. I welcome you, ma'am, and I hope we shall be able to interact with you not only today but in a longer run. Once again, thanks Ayush for bringing ma'am on board this event. I hope we shall be able to have a long-term association. Welcome, ma'am, and a warm welcome once again, and thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Manish.
Thank you so much, sir. Before I invite Professor Dr. Geeta ma'am, I would request President IIC SISTec-E, Professor Ashish Singhal, sir, to share some views of this event. Over to you, Professor Ashish Singhal, sir.
Thank you, Pankaj sir. Respected principal sir, our colleagues, Dr. Ayush, Professor Pankaj, and all the president, all the IIC committee of the SISTec-E, and our eminent speaker, Professor Dr. Geeta Hegde, Dean School of Business and Head of UCIE UPES. I, Professor Singhal, President IIC Sagar Institute of Science, Technology and Engineering Bhopal, welcome you all in the workshop of Business Model Canvas under the banner of Institutional Innovation Cell at Sagar Institute of Science, Technology and Engineering Bhopal. As far as IIC is known for, established to systematically foster the culture of the innovation among the student across the various departments. Ministry of Higher Education, Government of India has established across during the 2018. The basic focus of the IIC is to encourage, inspire, and nurture our young student by the prototype and supporting them to work with the new ideas and transform them into the prototypes. That prototype might be our finally student projects, which certainly comes in the future with the invention and the other major startups. I would like to focus our objective to organize this workshop, that is, how to prepare the business plan, how to develop our new enterprises in the market, how to launch our new enterprises in the market, and addressing the key issues, benefits in the terms of learning, skill, knowledge, and obtain. With this word, I welcome once again all the dignitaries on the behalf of IIC SISTec-E and our eminent speaker, Professor Geeta Madam. And we are happy and we are privileged to hear you, Madam. So I welcome you once again in this particular event. Thank you, Pankaj sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. You've actually insisted and supported the very famous quotation regarding technology in society. A technology without reachability of society is just a hypothesis. The various business models make it possible by churning out lots of jobs, by empowering all the nodes. Now, I would like to invite the expert of the session, Dr. Geeta Hegde, madam. Over to you, madam, please.
Thank you, Professor Pankaj Sharma, and thank you to the director of the institute, Dr. Manish, and also to thank Dr. Ashish and Ayush for also inviting me to talk at this event. To speak about quickly to speak about what our university and also the School of Business. UPES today is considered among the best university or the University of the North by ASSOCHAM. We have got the NAC A grade very recently. We are among the QS ranked among the top, and we've got top business universities in the world. We have got 5-star ratings in many areas such as employability, academic strength, infrastructure, and so on. So there are many awards that the university has got, that the UPES has got. School of Business is among the first schools which has started in the area of MBA oil and gas, along with School of Engineering way back in 2003, and then developed and very fastly grew fast into among emerging one of the best schools in the business schools in the country. Last year, Outlook has rated us among the top 20 business schools in the country. This year, the India Today MDRA ranking has rated School of Business among the BBA programs among the top among the top 20s in the country again. In certain categories, we are among the top 10 business schools in the country again. Our NIRF ranking is also extremely good. We've been among the top 60s in NIRF ranking, the School of Business. Recently, of course, we work very closely with the other schools of the universities, that is School of Engineering, School of Law, School of Design, School of Computer Science, School of Health Sciences, and also now recently added School of Modern Media. So School of Business students, actually we make it very we work on on a module or a model. I would say an education model, like just as you're saying, business model keeps evolving. Education also with the pandemic and other things keeps evolving, and so the university has been among the best in terms of creating a module in which we allow the students, or we make it mandatory to the students to take up programs or courses, content from the other schools of the university, so that the students get a multidisciplinary outlook, and they are very well prepared for or to become the future professional and future able professional. So we work on a model called ABLE, in which we have core and minor and also specializations. In core, we focus essentially on domain specialization programs, and in the specialization we add areas that are futuristic and which is required in for the future professionals, and also to be very ready, industry ready in the industry 4.0 and the ever changing and the dynamic changes that is happening in the business world and otherwise. And then we also add on top of it, which is called the exploratory courses or minors. The minors and the exploratory courses are courses that the students can take from the other business schools, other schools of the universities, like, as I mentioned, School of Design. If a student want to do something on design thinking, or even something specific as an automobile design, or if the students want to do something in AI, ML, deep learning, machine learning, then he can take up courses from the School of Computer Science. So the entire education, the way we provide, we have made it very futuristic. That is one of our key areas. Apart from that, School of Business itself works on the foundation of all the programs that we run is on technology based, is on analytically inclined, and also socially sensitive students, because we are very specific that the students that come out of School of Business are among very sensitive to the society. In that socially sensitivity, we also look at looking at providing students being able to provide employment for the society. So one of the ways to provide employment for the society is to become an entrepreneur. To become an entrepreneur, one has to have the innovative and entrepreneurship mindset, which is needed not only to develop something new, but also needed to entrepreneurship mindset should also be within an organization. If a employee student is employed in a very well-known organization, there again, the student has to be a lot more have a lot more entrepreneurial mindset. I can give you examples like what we work. We also work closely with the 3M. We speak to the 3M MD had come and spoken to our students, and he was talking about how the institute, and as I also closely work with some of them in the organization, they say how even being within the organization, the innovative culture is really very important in 3M. So to that, they also have certain percentage of their time allotted to 15 to 20% of the time employee has to really only do something new and come out with something new. So if this is a culture, how do we create that adaptability and that flexibility and that mindset in our students is what we do. What we look at. So apart from that, School of Business has more than 250 PhD scholars from various leading organizations across, especially from the organizations, which is kind of different from the other institutions or other universities or other business schools that provide the PhD programs. We have more than 80% of our people from industry. So why I'm saying this is that the reason being, we get them also to start talking to our students, and there's a lot of new industry oriented problems that are solved by the students, and the futuristic problems are actually solved by the students. And UCIE, University's Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, is catering to all the schools of the university. Our need, or what we are looking at, is creating entrepreneurs. At least 25% of our entire university, we are nearly 15,000 strong students across the schools that I mentioned. So if we want to create an entrepreneurship mindset of nearly more than 20-25% of our students, we cater universities innovation and incubation center caters to this need and this ambition of our university. Apart from that, we also incubate and have provide incubation space and acceleration space to our students who would like to have to start up ventures of their own. Many students have created, come up and ideated and accelerated their venture in our campus. Apart from that, we are a nodal center for Uttarakhand government's initiatives, entrepreneurship and startup initiatives. To that, we also cater support to outside of the school to entrepreneurs around in Uttarakhand district. In Dehradun and the Uttarakhand state, and also closely work with Startup India initiatives, so that we can we also connect with a lot of organizations and mentors across the country, and also open up our incubation center and our accelerating space to industries and incubation, the startup ventures of outside the state also. So there's a lot the UCIE does to the need for the to create an entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem. If I can have the slide, please. Yeah. I hope the slide is visible in a slideshow mode.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, so let me talking about the topic today, business model, canvas. Now, as we know, there is a need for the entire world is going through a disruptive phase, and along with that disruption, the technological disruption in interventions and so on and so forth. We also have pandemic and the prolonged pandemic, and so somebody was saying that this is a double disruption. Not enough that the businesses are going through disruption, you can see that there is a this additional disruption in the form of pandemic. So people have to really work in think out of the box or think new and see how we can solve the problem. So I just took a quote from Reid Hoffman, who says that an entrepreneur is someone who will jump off a cliff and assemble an airplane on the way down. So what is this talking about? This essentially means somebody who's able to take risk, and somebody who's able to take risk in a very, very different environment and a different setup. So that is what that is what the entrepreneurship mindset, underlying mindset of an entrepreneur should be. So one should be able to test new waters. One should be able to do something new, which is, of course, within the framework of creating profitability and giving solutions to problems. If that is not done, maybe maybe we always say that nearly 80% of entrepreneurs fail. Maybe they have not done their homework well, or maybe there are the disruption is continuous. But yes, thinking out of the box and doing something new and taking that much of risk mindset should be the basis of any entrepreneur. And talking, this is how perhaps a business canvas looks like, though I will talk a little more detailed in this. What you're essentially saying is that if you want to start a new business, or if you also the existing business, if you want to create a mind map or a model or a canvas, so that you're clear what are the things that you have to consider in a business in general, and what is it that you have to focus on, what are the most important thing in that is what the business model canvas speaks about. So what is a business model essentially? So anything that creates value for their business themselves, and also while delivering services, product or services to the customer. Now, what do you mean by this? Is that it should be a win-win kind of situation. There is no business which will be sustainable, even if you're talking about something which is a social service. You need money to run an NGO or a social service. So which means that even that requires profitability, or a value, or creating value to that NGO. So if this is the case, the value should be created both to the business, and also the value should be created to the customer, which means they should be profitable to the business and the value to created to the customer. So what is, if that has to happen, you
Hello.
need to work on
Excuse me, ma'am.
understand a business model. So if there is a business model
Excuse me, ma'am.
format, it is nothing but, when you say business model, it is
Ma'am,
nothing but creating a framework in which you also get a benefit, and also the customer also gets a benefit. So if ideally any business model works on certain underlying principles, or certain underlying ways in which you need to look at. So what are they? The basic business model or aspects of a business model speaks about value proposition. What is the value you get for stakeholders, all the stakeholders? But the most majority of the value proposition should be for your customer, the target audience, and also to the organization, because you need to make profit. You need
excuse
to
me, ma'am.
clearly understand. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think there is something
Yeah.
problem with the slide. It is not showing at
Okay.
the end.
What is that?
It is not showing. The slide is not visible. Right now, it is not in the shareable mode. Okay.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, it is visible.
Okay. When
Earlier,
I do, maybe I'll go on like this itself. Then I won't put in a slideshow.
yeah.
I don't know. I think now is it visible? Is it moving?
No, ma'am, it's not moving. It's
So
static
then,
on.
yeah. Then what I'll do is, like, I will not put in the slideshow.
I think you haven't shared it.
Is this okay? I
Oh,
have
yes, ma'am.
shared it.
Okay. Now it is
I have
changing, ma'am.
shared it.
Now it is changing.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's go on like this because we already, so as I told you, what is it that the business model has, and how do you create a business model by using 9 basic blocks or building blocks, or 9 basic understanding. One is value proposition, the target audience or the target segment, the customer relationship that you maintain, extremely important, the distribution channels, and also understanding what are the paradigm shift that is happening in the distribution channel, revenue stream as a bottom line, key partners or key partners who would be supporting in your business venture. The partners would be like suppliers and vendors, and also the distributors and so on and so forth, and any additional partners. The activity or the basic business that you are in, or the core competency that you are in, the resources that is required, and the cost. So this essentially forms all the aspects of a business, the basic aspects of a business. Now what is happening, one also has to understand that people or the businesses usually look at one of these building block and work on it and create a differentiation in the business itself. So there are different ways in which you understand what is different types of business canvases or business models. The models can be a basic business model or a business model canvas. It can also be something called as a lean business model, wherein you look at the basic the general business model, the lean business model, or a specific project business model. Now, the project business model, if you're doing something related to digital business, or if you're doing something related to the value proposition of a product alone, as it is known as MVP, experiment canvas, or you can do something called as lean procurement canvas, depending on the project. For example, if your procurement, you want a lean procurement, you need to work on procurement or something. Project related canvases can be also developed. So ideally I will talk essentially on the basic business model. I'm going to skip this because let us focus on something that is the classic business model canvas. Now, whatever I told you about initially, what makes a business, or what are the building blocks of business, putting that building blocks of business in a particular model, identifying which one to consider first, which is very, very important. What are prioritizing, and what of the key, what on the business building block should be prioritized, and how, and what is it in each of the areas, and making it in a canvas so that everybody, you're clear and your direction is clear, is what is called as a business model canvas. The reason why you need to do a business model canvas is that as a business entrepreneur or as a business person, now you're clear about what exactly you're going to do and where you need to spend most of the time. So for example, a classic business model looks like this, in which it talks about number one, when the numbers that goes says about which one is more important, which is given priority. And at the same time, the rest of the building blocks also has to be considered or equally important. So number one, you look at, what is your value proposition? What customers' problems are, and what are you hoping to solve? So, or what are you helping to solve? So extremely essential that in any business form, if there is a, putting yourself, design thinking, as you say, putting yourself in the shoes of the customer, empathy to the customer, and identifying what the problem is and how you need to solve that customer problem becomes very important in a business itself. So here in the model, you're putting all the building blocks in one canvas, and also identifying what are the activities or what is it that you need to consider in those each of those blocks. And also you're looking at how is it related and what is the process. So for example, here this business model talks about value proposition. The next step is to identify your customer segment, and then look at the channels of distribution. You're continuously looking at the customer relationship that is happening. In the meantime, you're looking at the revenue streams. You're also looking at the key partners and keep growing on the partners. You're looking at the key activities that are required to create a good business. What are the resources and what are the cost structure? This can continue, and then you can say, what is it, how are you working on it, and what is it, what are you controlling, and how you come back and implement, execute, and work on. So the basic organization building block in one particular canvas, it's called as a business model canvas. So this, at one glance, you really know what the entire business stands for. So that is what is called as a business model canvas. Now, one need to also understand how to use the business model canvas. So the main business building blocks is put, and how much of time is actually required in creating this business itself, and how. So cost structure and revenue streams runs across the entire process of a business model, while you identify the key partners, key activities, what is the value proposition, the customer relationship, and the customer segments. So how do you use a canvas? You need to identify, as it is already given, the basic model. The normal model talks about the 9 areas that you need to consider. So when you look at the customer segment, you list out the top few customer segments and look at it as what do the most revenue producing customer segment, or your key customers, or you sometimes call them as, in certain same terms, they call them as platinum customers or gold customers. Identify who are the major segments of your customer, and then for the major segment, you need to look at them in a different form. Maybe for that specific major segment, you will have an entirely different process, and also have a little, cost structure also changes. What is the value proposition? What are the products and services you're going to give for those customers? What is the value proposition of your organization? What is the job you get done for your customers? Value proposition both for your customer mainly, and if you create a value proposition to your customer, then there is value or the revenue stream that is coming into your organization. Identify what is the major revenue earning streams of your organization. Okay, identify who your distribution channels are. How are you communicating to the distribution channel, and what kind of value proposition you're giving for those and delivering the value through the distribution channel. Now, as you know, what is happening, there is disruption happening in the distribution channel also. Because of the disruption in the distribution channel, you have disintermediation. There are companies going directly to the customer. Today we are talking about technology and how technology impacts the distribution aspect. Blockchain is the future. World Economic Forum talks about how blockchain is going to change the entire business, the way the life of people, and also the way the businesses happen. So there are many interventions that will actually change the entire business setup. So who are the channels that you need to take the product from the supplier to the consumer, and how do you give value through that delivery process? Customer relationship, how does this show up, and how do you maintain a relationship with your customer? Because anything and everything is based on the customer's experience. How do you create an extremely good customer experience? Today, for us, even in a university, we talk about what is the student experience and what the students' feedback, and how do you feel the learning environment. So everything is essentially customer centric. Okay, so that is something that you look at, and how do you create a customer centric relationship? Key activities that you need to do to create everyday running of your business. These are the major strategic activities that you have to create. You put it up in the canvas, and how you do it differently, you put it up in the canvas. The key resources, because you can't put everything in the canvas, you identify the top resources or the key resources that are required to you do your business. And also the cost structure, which is the cost centers, and what are the major cost centers, and so that you know how to work on the cost centers. Now, this is how you create and use a business canvas. So value proposition, what the customer's problems are and you're helping to solve. What the customer needs are you satisfying. What are the key features your product that match the customer problems, as I already said? What are the customer segments? Who are your most important customers? What are their archetypes? What are their differentiation, and how do you identify the taste and needs of those customers? What job do they want you to get done for them? So, which is extremely important in the sense that, if you need to look at your customer tastes differ, every target audience has a different like, needs, wants, and taste, and the culture of each of the segment differs. So you need to look at how they need to be catered to. I can give you examples such as, if you're looking at a generation or a different generation, or you're looking at the usage pattern of a customer, you might produce a highly technically advanced product, but if your key customers are people who are not able to use it or culturally does not like to use that particular product, then I think you might not be able to do well. So you need to understand what exactly the type of the customers are. For example, when Kellogg's came into India, initially, as you know, they did not do well, though they thought of doing a different market segment. It's a huge market, but why it did not do well is because the culture of people of eating cold breakfast, because essentially Indian culture is that we eat hot breakfast. So Kellogg's, as we understood, the cornflakes, as we understood, is being eaten by cold milk, along with cold milk in Western countries. So this is what it is. That was the cultural thought process. Somebody said, who was using this in a Western country, said that, oh, it has to be used, you can have it with cold milk. And then if that is not the culture, and we are, as such, Indian breakfast is very 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 very, what to say, very elaborate and very heavy. So if you feel, if there is something like that coming into the country, and if the culture is not suitable, then I think you cannot do well in the. So the canvas actually has to speak about all the key needs of the customer and key customer segments and how they work. The channels, how do you want to reach the customer? Which is the channel that you use to reach the customer? The relationship between the customer and you, and how it has to keep growing, and how do you maintain a continuous relationship is extremely important. The revenue streams, what makes money and how you make money, what are the models and what are the pricing? Because it's very price, many customers are price sensitive, and also how the competitor is looking at pricing. So key pricing areas also has to be looked at. And who are the partners that you're going to work with? Who are your key suppliers? And what are you getting from them, and what are you giving? So essentially, the business canvas only talks about top members or top activities and top partners in each of those in your business. So what are the key activities that you do, key resources? And what is the cost structure which are most important? And how do you identify the fixed costs? What are the component of your fixed costs, and what are the component of your variable costs? So I'll give you an example of a business model that you can see. One of the examples of a business model, as I told you, all these activities or all these building block, when you put it in one frame, that is what is called as a business model canvas. Okay, so how do you, an example of a business model canvas here about Ola. So if you look at the key partners that they've identified, or first, let's start with value proposition number one. Okay, the value proposition what Ola gives for passengers is that it is affordable and the prices are less, lean fares, high quality services, convenient rides, certified drivers, criminal background check is being done. So there is safety. So the value proposition you're talking about is cheap, affordable, quality, safety for drivers, because you need to look at for passengers mainly, and also need to look at because your drivers are also your customers, okay, in this particular space. So choose your own working hours, access to more customers, instant booking, daily payments, and a wider range of customers for the drivers. Okay, so that is your value proposition. What is your key customer segments? In this, for the company, the city, the key customer services or the segments are people from the city, people who are from outstation, people who are looking at rentals, and the corporates. Now, these are the key customer segments. And also you need to look at drivers who will be providing you the taxi or the service. So it's an aggregation model. If you look at it, this is something so different, and actually disrupted the whole model of. It's like, Ola didn't own the cab, taxi providers or cab providers did not actually own cabs. And something similar to this, something like Oyo, who actually aggregated hotel rooms, did not really own them, but then created a environment or an ecosystem in which they do business. So this is a customer segment, key customer segment. Who are your channels? Distribution channels are, of course, your self-service mode, your social media. The basic, this is a disintermediation that has happened, and the basic distribution channels was your social media. And what is a customer relationship? Customer relationship is that, do it yourself or app that you created, a very interactive app that you created, and a very, very service oriented aspect. That is how Ola maintain key customer relationships. What is the revenue stream? Revenue stream is the trip commission, the Ola money, the corporate accounts, the in-camp promotion, cab leasing program. So there was multiple revenue stream that the company looked at. What is the key part? Who are the key partners? Drivers, operational partners, and there were extended partners. Okay, so as you know, the drivers were one of the key partners, the cab drivers, additional cab drivers, and also the GPS services, the internet providers, because that was one of the major platform that they worked with. And they had extended partners like insurance providers and so on and so forth. What is the key technology? What is the key resources? Technology really changed the whole thing. Brand reputation, employees, engagement community, driver partners. What is the key activities that they did? The platform growth, the managing daily operations, because these are the tactical and strategic work that you need to do so that your business stays alive. What is the revenue stream? Revenue stream we also spoke about. And what is the cost structure? The cost structure is the platform cost for the technology that they paid, sales and marketing, and operational costs such as paying to the drivers and the salaries and insurance cost and so on and so forth. So this is what you do as a canvas so that you clearly understand what business are you in for, what is your revenue stream, what is the value proposition, and what are the costs, and and how you can make profit and sustainable. Another one similar, but the same company which Ola talks about, maybe a little more focused one, which here it speaks about how a little with a focused manner how you actually create a create a business canvas. So this is what this is what I wanted to speak in terms of business canvas model. If there is any questions, or should we take, or is it only a one way discussion? Because I heard
Of
is there
course,
any questions coming up?
madam, there are certain questions coming up. Shall I
Yeah,
ask
I
you
think I'll
right
take
now?
the questions because we are already, we just have about 10 to 15 minutes left.
Okay, ma'am.
Other than that, of course, I wanted to talk about UCI, University's Entrepreneurship Center, which has many, startups, more than 45 legal entities so far. Yeah, I can take questions. I think then we can see.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, ma'am. I'm going to ask you questions.
yes.
Actually, one of the questions are how blockchain is going to impact existing business models.
Okay, there is a lot of, I don't know whether people have really understood what blockchain is. And, though I'm also not a very technically strong person, but what blockchain essentially talks about a few things. One, you're talking about technology that is immutable. Immutable means it cannot be, once it is coded, it cannot be reversed. So which means that this particular thing is extremely safe. Okay, so and you're talking about so there is trust, and you're also talking about using technology in a very, very efficient form. The basis of blockchain is also in a way that you it is distributed. It is not the ownership is not one. If you say, if you're saying your money is not essentially owned only by the bank, there is ownership distributed across all the stakeholders who are working on it, and it is a it is a contract which is among the people, so that it is only those people who are involved in that particular contract working, and it is working on it, and of course it is open. So if this is the basis of a blockchain through a technology thing, if it is trustworthy, if it is efficient, and if it is immutable in the sense that it cannot be changed, or it cannot be, it is something that cannot be tampered upon. So if this is what it is, and I think this is something which is the need of the hour in many cases. So I think to that, it will help the business. But of course, because of the blockchain associated with cryptocurrency, there is issues of how it can be managed. Many government, many countries are not really going in for accepting this, or to a certain extent, yes, want to have control of the cryptocurrency, and how it is being, how it is being executed. But all said and done, as I told you, World Economic Forum is saying that this technology is going to be one of the 7 technologies that is going to change the world in the near future. So if anything is trustworthy, if anything is immutable, if anything is distributed, and if it is open and transparent, and if it is talking about smart contracting, then it is definitely going to be useful. Of course, it will use a technology platform like broadband. Today, we know in India, we are, though we are inching higher in terms of ease of business, but there are a lot of things that we are not. We are still need a lot of advancement in many areas, like property dealing and property, and contracting, and smart contracting, and so on and so forth. So I think these are the areas, and of course, technology, blockchain use is there everywhere. It can be used across different models like supply chain. They say in supply chain it is going to be extremely useful, and future is all about supply chain, as you see. And again, in the pandemic, what is happening? So I think there again it is going to be useful. So essentially, definitely it's going to be disruptive, and definitely if it is used in a proper fashion, it will definitely be efficient, and will support the business to a large extent.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is coming.
Yeah.
Among the 9 basic building blocks, where to put service providers or workforce, and are they really matter for the entire business model?
Service providers. Are you talking about service? See, for example, today, if you look at any businesses, earlier when IBM started more than 100 years ago, IBM was calling itself as a product organization. Today, even IBM is saying that we are more of a service organization than a product organization. So service is there everywhere. Everybody talks about service. Service is something which the organization themselves also has to do, or an organization can also have external service providers. So based on whether it is a service organization, for example, if you're talking about education system is essentially service provider itself. The education itself is services. It comes into the category of services. So the service provider in the 9 blocks will essentially come in the company's, I would say in the blocks, it will come in the company's value proposition. So services is a very, very, very major important value proposition. So I would put it as one of the important value proposition, because the reason, as I told you, IBM was talking about a product company. Today, IBM themselves, there's everybody talking about a service orientation. So service orientation is a value proposition. That is number 1.
Nice. Thank you, ma'am.
As a building block.
There is one more question. Shall I ask you, ma'am?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
There is a question regarding the relationship between owner of the business or the customer. that should be one way or two way?
So there is, I mean, it is important that the business owner maintains a relationship, because as the competition, and it, any relationship is two way basically. If I say, and the underlying thing is that if you talk about any relationship, it has to be two way. But the relationship actually starts from the business owner. The reason why I'm saying is that if you want to create a business, you cannot sustain a business without a long term relationship with the customer. If you do not have a long term relationship, then the customer will move from your business, because today there is so much of competition across businesses and across sectors. So a customer can, if a customer is getting a better value by another provider or a company, he will easily move to another company or a provider. And also, today you talk about customer relationship, is, I mean, customer churn is easier and faster, because there are so much of, I don't know, the classic example is that when Ford started his motor vehicle, that was a revolution. And Ford said you can buy any car as long as it is black, the Model T, as you know as. Today, you look at, you can't, you can't say that, you can't afford to say that we will only offer a black color car. The customer choice is huge. So that is what the technology, the disintermediation as aspect is spoken about, has made it. And you move closer and closer to the customer. So the relationship, to maintain a two-way relationship, the initiation of the entire relationship happens from the maintaining and seeing that there is a good relationship, obviously happens from the company. Yes, I think Professor Ashish wanted to ask something. I don't know, you raised your hand.
Madam, one question from my side. Madam, actually, I have studied about the some business canvas model, and there were some case studies behind it. I have read if you study on a case study of the Uber, and there was some specific word he was using. They were using the lifetime value. So I don't know. Actually, I'm very confused. Can you explain the lifetime value, madam? What is that
Okay,
life?
so this is something called as, it's a marketing, essentially used in the marketing customer orientation, which is called as a lifetime value. And it is also called as customer lifetime value, what we look at. Lifetime value is about the customers, what the customer gets in a lifetime. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is that it is not enough to look at one today. Earlier, a one sale of a product could essentially get you the money, but today the customer, if you want to sell, especially if you want to sell a particular product, you are looking at what the customer is getting, what the association is for a lifetime. Okay, and you're creating a value for a lifetime to the customer, only then you can sustain. What I'm trying to tell you is that, for example, if I'm, I can do it even with even if it is an FMCG company. You will make a profit if only if you sell it repeatedly to a customer, to perhaps maybe a 3 time or a 4 times of a particular product. You cannot make your cost or revenue with one sale. Okay, so that is when you need to see that the customer keeps coming back to you and buying your product. So if you have to have the customer coming back repeatedly to you to make a profit, because of the competition, because of this, way things are, unless and until you give a lifetime value to the customer will move to somebody else. So you need to create, the basic, cost revenue model. As I told you, the cost of a product, to kind of make to get a revenue out of that cost, you might have to sell the product many times. Only then you will get the required revenue. So which means essentially you need to create a lifetime value of the customers. Identify what is a long-term value that you can give for the customer to create a revenue model. So that is what is ideally called as a lifetime, because we want the customer to be with us for a lifetime, is what it is. So that is when we create a lifetime value. Okay, so that is what And the companies do it in many ways. You see that the company would create the lifetime value in many ways so that the customer does not move from your a product or your company to somebody else. So that is why we say we talk about a lifetime value, and organizations actually start do a mathematical analysis or identifying what the lifetime value is.
Okay,
Long
ma'am,
term customer relationship.
I have one more question in my mind. Actually, we are dealing with the engineering students, and as far as the country is concerned, country is going for the making the startups and going for the startups and trying to make the engineers be an entrepreneur, right? So, as far as the business model is canvas is concerned, they are basically focused to encourage those people and those who can set up their startups, and how can they set up their startup, what should be the first process, because when they are making the first project in the final year students, if I'm talking about, so they are focused to make them in projects now, and that project is coming to the next step to be a startup. So what should be the journey for those students, madam? How can they
Okay.
think for the startup, madam?
Okay, so first and foremost, for any startup, ideation is a basic thing, and for ideation, you need to start thinking in in as if you're a customer problem, identifying what are the pain points, and then look at how you can solve these pain points. Okay, so that is where you look at the ideation. The second step is that you need to look at your ways in which what are the resources and what is the money that you have. So in a startup, essentially, you come with very, very basic amount of money, a shoestring budget. Now, how do you start looking at the budgets or the resources for that thing? So that is where the support of the cells like UCI is, okay, the centers, which supports you with the incubation, the space and the platform, or the space and whatever basic requirement is given by such incubation centers. Okay, so you could come to an incubation center like UCI with your idea. Basically, you come up with a good idea, but you have already done a basic work on it. You think that this idea is going to solve a problem and give a long term, and there is scalability. Two things that is important is that it will solve a customer problem, and there is a growth and sustainability or scalability for that particular kind of business. With that business idea and business ideation, idea and technology and whatever little bit, about whatever areas that essentially you can go, and if the idea is great, you do something which is called as a proposal or a business proposal, work out this business canvas, basic business canvas model, and then come to a acceleration center or or an innovation center like this. And the innovation centers essentially help you in also, how you need to start a company, what are the legal entities that are required to start a company, and how you go about doing that, where are the funds you get and who are the sources of fund and how you get the funds. All these information is given. In some areas, of course, there'll be a certain, if you think that there is scalability and there is, you can, then there will be a partnership that is coming in, or you might have to you might have to have an investor. There are different types of investors. There are angel investors who will put their money and then maybe take up whenever they want, or there are partners, long term partners as an investor. There are certain government agencies that help. So identify where the money comes from and who are the partners, and then work on your organization, taking the organization ahead. But one has to, that's why I said one has to be very, very clear of their businesses and the scalability of the business.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. And one more question. I have three questions basically. Actually, my question is regarding the value proposition, madam. When we are talking about the value proposition, how we can build the value proposition as student. That is my basically question, madam. How we can build the value proposition for the student, madam?
For the students, or I didn't, for the students, is it?
Yeah,
Value
absolutely.
proposition for the students. How we can build a value proposition. No, I didn't get you. How the faculty can build a value proposition, or the institute can build a value proposition,
Yes, yes, you can take it in this way, madam. Also.
or how the students can build talk about value proposition. Okay, so what is a value? Value is something like a benefit. If you say value is something like a benefit, so if you essentially talk in financial or in a business term, what is a value? Value is what what is the value you get minus what you pay, the benefit that you get out of anything, minus the amount, the additional benefit that you get minus the amount of money that you pay is called as value. So you can derive value from it. Each person's value differs. For example, why is it that somebody pays for a diamond so much more than its basic cost? Cost plus cost or benefit minus cost is a value, or whatever the additional benefit that you get is what is called as value, apart from the cost finding it. So how do you get, so this value can be added in every step, every in a supply chain, for example, every step you end up adding value. If a customer, and what is it that a customer gets value out of time spent. What are the expenditures? Expenditures are time. If you can reduce on the time that is spent. Need, what is it the customer likes? If there is something that he gets that he likes or wants, that becomes a additional value. The amount of money that he pays, if he feels that the amount of money that he pays is less than what he gets back, then there is value. So the value can happen in every small area. So similarly, if you want to create value, it is nothing but what the giving more than what the other person is giving, or the cost of the anything additional to the cost is what is called as value. So value, and the cost can come in various forms. Cost can be time, cost can be effort, cost can be money, cost can be relationship or anything. Okay, so anything that you get additional to the cost is what is called as value. So value can happen anywhere.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
sir.
think it's also time up. So yeah,
Shall I go for the last one question, madam, if you permit,
yeah. One
please?
last question, please.
This is actually not everyone is privileged to have good business background or business education. Still, if a layman wants to start a business in spite of having a very good idea, what should be the first step, the by default step? Actually, this question is inspired from Dhirubhai Ambani. So, ma'am, please.
Yeah. So as I told in my first slide, I put the daring, thinking out of the box, wanting to do something different, and ability to do that, in which you can that you're thinking out of the box, taking risk, and so like I told you, technology is almost like an equalizer. It didn't look who is rich, who is poor, but technology supported even people with no background to actually do something disruptive or something new or something different. So anything that is problem, anything that is where there is a pain point or a problem and you have the solution to it, then that is what is a basic thing for a business. Okay, and that sometimes need not have educate, need not it might not need money. To a larger extent, money can be always sourced or crowdsourced. If the idea is excellent, if the idea is something unique, and if the idea is scalable, and that is idea is a solution that is scalable, then I think that is where the start of any business is.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much.
madam. Actually, we all are very delighted to learn lots of things about the business models, developing business models. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ayush Srivastav, Area Coordinator, IIC SISTec-E, for the vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Ayush Srivastav, sir.
Thank you so much, Pankaj sir. First, I would like to thank Geeta ma'am for accepting the invitation as a speaker. And I hope the students will got the knowledge and how they run business healthy and how to plan for the business. And I will also want to that the Geeta ma'am is continuously guiding us and supporting in future to run the IIC in our institute, and also help to open the incubation center in our institute. And I would like to thanks to my HOD for supporting me, and principal sir for supporting us. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Ayush.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.